What's up guys, Jake here. In this video, let's talk about taxes. I like to think about taxes for fun. I do that. And I want to propose the question, is there such thing as a single guy tax? Now I'm saying single guy tax only because about 88% of my audience is male. If you're female and you watch my videos, I appreciate you, tell your friends. But it's really more of a single person tax for people who are high income earners. This is a finance and investing channel. I'm very open with you guys about how much money I make. And between my military income as a captain, my YouTube income, and my investment income from short-term trading, options, and stocks, I'm going to make close to $300,000 this year. This is a crazy amount of money. Up until this year, I never considered myself a wealthy person. I've never experienced this level of income. But being as focused as I am about my finances, I'm already considering the tax implications. What is my tax bill going to be like next April 2022? And I'm already starting to budget and plan to have tens of thousands of dollars in my checking account so I can pay this tax bill. And while thinking about my tax bill, I was crunching the numbers of what I expect to have to pay, but then I was staring at these tax brackets. If you're not familiar with the marginal tax brackets, I'll explain it briefly. But basically, you pay a certain percentage up to a certain amount of your taxable income. So this is after all of your deductions. The standard deduction that everyone can claim is $12,550 if your itemized deductions are not greater. So my raw income will be close to about $300,000, but my YouTube income is a business. I'm a sole proprietor. So I can deduct all of my business expenses, and I can be pretty generous with myself. So I'm going to make a lot of deductions to get my taxable income down. Likewise, in the Air Force, my housing and food allowances are tax exempt, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I'll figure out ways to otherwise lower my taxable income. So let's just make an assumption here that my taxable income will max out the 32% tax rate bracket, and I'll get to a taxable income amount of $209,425. So if we assume that number, let's figure out how much I'm going to owe the federal government in taxes. Now, before we go any further, I want to say that I am happy to pay my legally required amount of taxes, being that I'm serving in the military and tax dollars pay for my salary and the salary of everyone I work with. I'm happy to pay my taxes. So let's figure it out with, let's say, raw income close to $300,000, but taxable income, because I can deduct a lot from my business, $209,425. So these are the tax brackets. I pay 10% between $0, $9,950, 12% between $40,000 and $9,000, 22%, so forth, so forth. So the total amount that I would be expected to pay in federal taxes is $47,843. That's 22% of my taxable income and 16% of my total income. Now, this is not including FICA taxes, Social Security, and Medicare. This doesn't include state income tax or local taxes. However, what would I be paying if I was married and I had a stay-at-home spouse or a spouse that was going back to school? There's actually lots of military officers who are the breadwinners, both male and female, and they have a spouse because they move around so much who maybe just stays home, takes care of the kids, maybe they're going back to school. This is something that I've thought about, and I'm looking at these married filing jointly tax brackets, and I'm really curious. How much money would I be saving if I was married right now? So first thing you need to know is that all of the tax brackets basically double in size. So you go from $9,950 up to $19,900. The standard deduction is also doubled because there's two people. Now, it's fair for this to happen because you have to assume that both people working are potentially making the same amount of money. This doesn't happen in most marriages, most relationships, that both income earners are equal, but you know, they have to structure the brackets this way. I get it. So if we use the exact same numbers, and let's pretend I had a spouse who is taking care of kids, we'll not count child deductions or anything like that. Or maybe she was going back to school to get a certification or a degree and just wasn't working. So my taxable income of $209 immediately goes down by another $12,550. And when you shift the scope of the brackets, this is what it all goes to. I no longer go into the 32% and I max out in the 24%. So when we figure out how much I'd be paying as a married couple now in each of these brackets, the total comes to $35,292, which is 18% of our now taxable income and 12% of our total income. So a huge saving. Let's do the numbers here. So single Jake, making as much money as I am, is going to have to pay $47,843. But if I found somebody to tie the knots and they didn't make that much money, I would be only paying $35,000, which is a savings of $12,551. Now I wanted to crunch the numbers as a thought experiment to see how much I'd be saving in federal taxes if I were married. And I wanted to kind of play around with the idea of, is there a tax loophole here? Do people ever just get fake married? Maybe I find some college student who's not working and say, hey, do you want to sign a prenup, get fake married so I can save taxes and I'll split the difference with you. However, I feel like $12,000 in savings really isn't worth it. You know, if I split that with a college kid who doesn't work, $6,000 in tax savings, doesn't feel worth it, because you always run the risk of, what if I actually find somebody I want to genuinely marry, and then can't do that. I got to first divorce this person. You know, as long as they're not a foreigner, this is America. You can marry somebody and divorce somebody the next day. That's freedom right there. But yeah, I thought it was interesting what kind of tax savings I would get, but it's probably not worth my time trying to fake marry somebody just to save some money on taxes. So ultimately, is there a single guy or a single person tax? And I don't think there is. I think the tax structure is coded in a way to assume that both adults in the marriage are working and earning roughly an equal income. In that instance, you're not saving any money. But if you're the primary breadwinner of a couple and the other person doesn't work, then yes, you are saving money on taxes than if you were to divorce and then be filing single every year. So something to remember, something to consider. If you guys enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up so the algorithm knows it's good. In addition, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Maybe there's some numbers that I missed in this video. If you guys know stuff I don't, I always love hearing that. Till the next video, take care.